Stevie B.
What up, Bradford?
Yo, dude, it is dang nab in the middle of spring break.
It is.
Yes.
And so I started to golf again.
Oh, the little spring break activity.
Well, my son was starting to get into it a little bit, and I'm like, hey, he took some lessons. He was hitting the ball really well after just a couple lessons, and I'm like, this would be great.
He is a Burton.
This will be great to bond with my son.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's just go out and golf together, and I used to golf a lot.
I remember.
But I had some, tendonitis issues from lifting weights and golfing and not, I guess, getting it fixed properly. So I did do acupuncture and that worked, but then it flared back up. So he's been really wanting to golf, and for his birthday, we went and golfed with his friend and his dad. And I haven't golfed in 10 years.
Yeah.
So needless to say, it was fun. I had a great time. I actually shot very well.
Did you go after the ball? Did you really go after it, or was it?
Dude, I'm Happy Gilmore, buddy. I freaking try to crush that freaking ball. So anyway, needless to say, I golfed that day. It was great. 3 days later, I golf again, and I woke up I really couldn't sleep last night. My arm felt like it was hanging off my body. The pain is excruciating, and I don't mind pain. Like, I don't have a problem working through stuff. I've worked through injuries my whole life, working out and all this, but this is the worst freaking thing that I could ever. It's not just not tendonitis. Now it's just my whole arm is inflamed. I can't even open it fully. It's crazy.
Is it swollen in like a cool way? Do you?
No, not at all. No. Wrong place to be swole.
So it would be better to get a bee sting there and be like, I'm just trying to I'm trying to figure out ways that you can at least feel good about it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, dude. Because
these are obstacles overcome.
I know, but I was talking to you. We were talking just yesterday.
I know, dude.
About how early and when I started making an effort nutritionally and exercise about 6 weeks ago, I guess. And about a week and a half into it, I hurt my back.
I know, dude. So frustrating.
And boy, did it sent, I was in such a bad mood, and totally. I'm not immune to bad moods, but
nor am I, by the way.
Yeah. As crazy as that might sound to some of you all, but man, that really affected my spirits, and I know how important your physical routines are to you, and so to feel hampered in that way, just not feel at your full capacity. And I know everyone out there has dealt with that, and some people deal with that on a daily basis. I think of, who I think of? I think of Emma Sams, who we talked to not too long ago, who's dealing with long haul COVID. Yeah. And boy, that must really play on your spirits, because no one really understands it. You don't know. That's
mentally got to screw with you, because you just don't know, right?
You just don't know. Like, is this every day for the rest of my life? Is this ever like that?
And then your mind can really play tricks on you there.
Oh,
right?
Gosh. Yeah.
At least you can identify your back. I can identify my arm or my knee or whatever and go, hey, how can I fix this? You know? Right. But it's still a pain, So
of course,
that's why we talked about on More Awesome. I totally have compassion for people who are, have injuries or just not feeling good in pain and just stuck, but you can overcome it. I just want people to have hope that they can, with effort and some guidance, they can overcome it. And, it's going to be a long haul for this tendonitis. I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, really, just basic tendonitis, that could be a 4 to 6 week process.
Is it chronic? I mean, is it something I don't know?
It's been chronic for me for 10 years.
Right. And
so if people don't know, I mean, it's debilitating to the point where it got to the point where I couldn't even hold a 5-pound dumbbell.
Right.
Okay. So I've continued to work out. I've continued to work around it pretty good. I feel like I've been able to still make gains and do things I want to do physically by working around it, because I ice it a lot. I take care of it as much as I can, but this thing just put it over the freaking top. So I'm going to have to actually now go get it treated, which I should do anyway. So again, I'll deal with it. But anyway,
all right. So limit the golf. I've been really
golf's done. I'm done. I'm never golfing again.
Really looking forward to potentially playing some pickleball with you at some times. I wonder.
Pickleball I can do. I'll play left-handed.
Oh,
because I can, ping pong and tennis. I can go left and right.
Okay.
So left, I'll be good. I'll be okay.
You know what you can do is you can do a two-handed. You can do a Monica Seles two-handed.
No, I can't.
Forehand, two-handed backhand.
For pickleball?
Yeah, dude, I've seen it done.
Yeah, I probably would do a two-handed backhand. Actually,
yep.
If I was playing pickleball.
I do both. But yeah,
okay.
No, we got to get you out there. Well, I'm sorry, dude. I know that is.
Yeah, but, whatever, dude. I'm not complaining, right. But whatever it is what it is.
We've had 2 weeks of spring break, and it's been nice just to not have to race in the mornings.
Totally. It's been nice. It's been real nice to spend time and just take a little bit of a break because we know what's coming in May and July and August.
We do feel like, I feel the momentum a little bit. Like back to work at GH after this, and then all of a sudden, it's May.
I know, dude. We got to get busy.
And we're in the first week of April. One more week of vacation, and then. Or not vacation, but time away from the normal, and bam, it's gonna be. We are like, I feel like we're in the tractor beam. Totally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, it's good. I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am.
Yeah, the delicious funnel of 2021, we're swirling around the tops. It's
we're swirling around the toilet.
We had the delight of catching up with a good friend, not a stranger to this podcast.
Yep.
I think we've had him on a couple times already. Is that possible?
We did. I think we had him on once for the podcast, and then the Emmy chat. I think we had him on also.
Right, exactly. And he's a guy that has always got something going on. And we always end up having great conversations because he's very thoughtful and, has a lot of the same priorities that we do in terms of positivity and treating people well. And so we're excited to bring back our buddy, Sean Kanan.
There you go.
Well, Steve, today we have a dear friend.
A dear friend for me, a mentor of mine, and cousin by marriage. That's right. That's right.
Your list is longer than mine.
Yes, I could keep going, but I won't. Because we don't need to drum up the past. Sean Kanan is with us. What's up, Sean?
Hey, bud. So good to see both of you. I love both you guys. It's always a pleasure.
How you doing, dude? Man.
I'm good. Very busy. A lot of stuff going on. Good stuff. You missed me with my mohawk. I had a mohawk for a while.
Well, I saw you sent me the picture. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So Michelle was like, "Okay, you've rocked it for like a week now after the film. Like you've got it out of your system. Give me the razor because it's we're cutting that off."
Now, what was the height of it? Was it faux-ish or was it full?
It wasn't like a Sid Vicious mohawk. It was more like a crazy sort of special forces mercenary type guy mohawk. But cool. they shaved it clean on the sides and then it was longer on the top. But this is the director's a guy I've worked with like 4 or 5 times. And the last 2 films ago that I did with him, I had to shave my head completely bald. So I think this guy just has something against my hair.
He's jealous. He's jealous, dude.
Yeah. Before I started the film, he would write me these cryptic, funny texts and couch them in jokes about getting a mohawk. So I thought he was just kidding around with me. And first day that I showed up in Puerto Rico, I was promptly sent to the hair department. And I tried to kind of do one like this to start. And I kept getting the text, no, more.
All right. So tell us about the movie. What's the movie and who's in it?
So the film is called Killing Field. It's directed by James Cullen Bressac, who, as I said, is a director that I've worked with several times. It's produced by Randall Emmett, and it stars Bruce Willis and Chad Michael Murray. And
dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The whole thing takes place in one location over the course of one day, and it's a bunch of bad guys, and of course, Bruce and Chad are the good guys. And it's funny. having worked with this director before, I got the script and I was in a lot of the film, but my lines were pretty much relegated to yes, boss, no boss, that sort of stuff. But I knew, having worked with James before, that, you know, he's wonderful about letting me ad lib and stuff on the fly. So basically, James graciously kind of allowed me to create a lot of my own dialogue. And by the time, Steve, you know me, man, by the time the film was over,
yeah, they're like, who's this third lead all of a sudden?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So wait, I mean, dude, listen, let's not go past the fact that you worked with Bruce Willis, and this, you know, this guy's been an icon for so long. I mean, I love Bruce Willis. I used to love Moonlighting, loved all the Die Hard movies. I got to meet him at a Planet Hollywood opening in 1994. So it's like, you know, this guy's a staple of just action. So how was it?
That's why I agreed to do the film. I mean, like, I read the script and I didn't have a whole lot to do, but I was with Bruce a lot in it. And I was like, I'm going to take this film and I'm going to figure out a way to kind of adapt and overcome so that I have some more stuff to do. He's great. You know, like, Steve, you and I grew up with him. I mean, and you start thinking about all the films that he did aside from Die Hard. I mean, Pulp Fiction, Fifth Element. I mean,
yeah.
And you know, and he's done other films too that are more less action. Like, I don't know if you saw Bandits with Billy Bob Thornton and Cate Blanchett, which is, you know, he's got tremendous comedic instincts, obviously.
Sure.
It was a real honor.
Well, yeah. I mean, in like The Sixth Sense and
like, right.
Yeah, movies like that where, yeah, he's kind of run the gamut. Like, for a while, I mean, he was just the go-to guy for just about anything.
Yeah. You know, it was, you know, he was really cool. He was very nice. He was a very giving actor. And, you know, nice. For about the first 30 seconds, it was one of those deals where I was like, it's Bruce Willis.
Totally.
Okay, dude, you gotta, you know what it reminded me of, Steve, is it reminded me a lot of when I did Karate Kid 3 emotionally for that second, because, you know, I had paid to go get a ticket to watch the Karate Kid and the Karate Kid 2 in the theaters. And now, sure. You know, I am working with these guys, and it was just took me a little beat there to, you know.
Oh yeah, totally. I was telling Bradford, I think last week when I did The Last Castle, I'm literally in the scene with Redford, and I have my dialogue, and in my head I go, "That's Robert Redford. That's Robert Redford. That's Robert Redford." I suck as an actor. That's Robert Redford.
First of all, you absolutely do not suck as an actor. Second of all, what about James Gandolfini too? I mean, it's like, I know. Well, because my first scenes were actually with Redford. Yeah. So then I started working with Gandolfini after that. But of course, you know, he's awesome too. But you know, so then you're like, yeah, this is the Sopranos guy. This is the Sopranos guy. Go ahead, Brad.
When were you filming this?
I filmed this. I think I got there like March 11th or something, and I was
of 2020.
Oh yeah, I just did this.
No, 2021.
Okay. Oh, it's not coming out anytime soon. You just finished it.
I just finished it. Yeah, I mean, my guess is.
I wasn't sure if this was coming out now, or if you had just done it. Okay, all right.
No,
all right.
I just
did. Okay, so Puerto Rico. What's Puerto Rico like this time of year?
They're doing back to back big films in Puerto Rico. They just did one
really?
with Europe. They just did one with Mel Gibson before that. Yeah, because Puerto Rico has an insane tax break for production. I think
good for them.
I think you get something in the neighborhood of 40% back on every dollar.
That's amazing.
Whoa.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, our crew, which was almost exclusively Puerto Rican local people, extremely professional. I mean, yeah, this this is one of those deals where I think this is probably the biggest film that I've done since Karate Kid 3. You know, you walk on the set and it's like, wow, this is like a real film. There's cranes and jibs and
yeah, that's awesome.
And you didn't have to do it all yourself either. That's a difference.
Right. It's just getting to show up and do it.
Right. Not being in charge is nice.
Oh, it's really nice. It's really nice. You know, we did 5 new episodes of Studio City during the pandemic, and you know, having to produce anything during the pandemic because you're using you know, the size of your crew's reduced. There are crazy protocols for COVID. You know, you have to have a doctor on set, all this stuff. And, you know, and everything's more expensive. It just is. Sure. And so like, yeah, that's great. If I never have to produce something again during a pandemic, that would be too soon.
So you did
every 2 days, Steve. Every 2 days we were, getting something shoved up our nose, and
sure.
Yeah.
So you did. Are you doing more episodes of Studio City, or is it just the 5 for the second season?
We now have 11. What we just shot is actually the second half of season 1. So now we have a whole season 1.
Oh, cool.
And I'll tell you, if you guys haven't seen it, Ron Moss is one of the guest stars, and he plays himself. And let me tell you what, Ron Moss is drop dead hilarious. Like, I mean, this ain't Ridge Forrester. I mean, Ron plays himself. And just without getting into a whole lot of it, my character, who is this aging soap star, always wanted to be an action star. And I get the shot to be an action star with this audition, but it turns out that Ron Moss is producing it. And Ron is my arch nemesis because Ron won the soap opera actor of the year, and I came in second, but he thinks I told everybody that he was ballot harvesting and that he was sleeping with the guy that was the judge, and all this stuff. So he hates me, and he's like, "You've got zero chance of getting this film." And then at the end, I get the film, but I have to go meet with Ron, and Ron says, "Great, you got the film. Good for you." He says, "There's a little caveat here. You're going to learn how to act because you're really bad. You really suck, and I'm going to teach you how to act." And it's a really funny scene.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
That is funny.
I've loved Ron ever since I saw him in Wife Swap with Tyler Christopher. And did you ever see that reality show?
I did see that reality show. Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah. When Ron made a Ron Chino, remember?
Yes. That was that was worth it just for that, just to see Ron playing Ron, because I mean, it was
amazing.
Heightened versions of themselves. Amazing.
I had dinner. Michelle and I had dinner at Ron and Devin's house a couple weeks back, and first of all, he's one of the kindest, nicest guys, but he's really he won't tell you this right off, but Ron grew up with kind of Hollywood royalty, and he's got some really amazing stories if you get him talking about it. We were filming at a location in Hollywood. And they had told me the story that at this hotel, somebody had taken a shot at Charlie Chaplin. They wanted to kill him because I guess he was sleeping with this producer's wife, blah, blah, blah. And Ron said, no, that's not true. He said that story happened on a boat with Randolph Hearst, William Randolph Hearst. And he said, my dad was on the boat. And
wow.
Somebody accidentally got shot. It was intended, I guess, for Charlie Chaplin. And the story that Ron told was that, I guess William Randolph Hearst took this guy to his place. I don't know if it was San Simeon or where it was, to try and, hopefully not have him die. Now, mind you, it was William Randolph Hearst who shot the guy. Okay. And I guess the word was that none of those people on the boat ever had to work again. But the guy died.
Well, and trust me, it wasn't in the newspaper either.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, right. So any idea when the Bruce Willis movie comes out, and is it theaters, is it streaming?
That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess it's streaming, because I think the business model now, it just makes more sense where you've got people at home. That's my guess. Sure. But a lot of times they do these films that they wind up streaming domestically in North America, and then they put them out for some kind of a release in Europe and some of the other countries. So I really don't know. I heard through the grapevine that they had to deliver the film in 2 months. So yeah, my guess is they deliver the film in 2 months and probably take another 8 weeks to market it. So that's why I figure probably 4 months.
Okay, cool.
So before we get into your new book, which is awesome.
Thanks.
So Cobra Kai, I know they're doing more episodes. Are we going to see Mike? Are we going to see
Mr.
Mike Barnes? Are we going to see Mike Barnes?
I can neither confirm nor deny, my friends.
Okay, great.
Everyone asks me that, and it's a lot of people. I think some people even resent the fact that I won't cop to it or deny it. But the thing is, out of respect for the guys that are the producers, out of respect for the show, I don't feel it's my place to comment on whether I will or will not be in it.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, I just don't think it is.
Sure.
Look, I can tell you this, that the producers are big fans of the original films. They want to work everybody back into it and do it in a way that's organically. And so, fingers crossed. I don't know that we've seen the last of Mike Barnes yet.
Great. That'd be awesome, dude. I'll be so stoked for you. That'd be so cool. I'm gonna be your assistant that week. Okay.
Why?
I will be.
Would make a good Cobra Kai guy. The Cobra Kai guys all sort of had blonde hair, and Steve would be a good Cobra.
I would have done well with the muscle car.
Will gray work? Will gray hair work though?
Oh, there's no gray bit. There's no gray bitch. Thanks for asking.
I'm sure to get some.
But these abs will work.
Oh snap!
Oh shizzle!
I've always thought you'd look good in a gi.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this, Steve. So there's this scene in Studio City where Philip Bruin, who plays the young, handsome doctor that's kind of nipping at my toes all the time, he's walking around and he was told that he was gender insensitive. So he's got his headphones on and he's spouting out lines from the vagina monologues. And it sounds really funny and weird and creepy. And as he runs into the producer, she looks at his abs and he's got these cut, stunning abs. And she says, are those yours or do we do that? And she looks and she wipes them off like that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Really? You can get them like that?
Well, he's got good ones already. I mean,
okay.
But we just kind of, they shaded them and everything like that.
Sure.
Oh, you have to have the outline of them in order to shade them, do you?
Yeah, you can't have a one pack.
No.
Doesn't work on a one pack.
A tall boy? Is that what
well, a tall boy could be misconstrued for something else. All right. Before Bradford goes down another rabbit hole. All right, Sean, tell us about the new book, dude. I know we've talked, before about.
Steve, the book is called Way of the Cobra. And the tagline for the book is Unleash Your Inner Badass. Everyone's got one. It might have been lost along the way or yet to be discovered. But COBRA is an acronym formed from the words character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And in the beginning of the book, in the introduction, I say, look, I got good news and I got bad news. It's funny how it always works out that way. And if you're like me and Don Corleone, you insist on getting the bad news first. So here it is. I said, I don't have the answer. I don't have a magic bullet that is going to turn you into this uber successful beast that you want to become. But here's the good news. It's like the Zen riddle. How did the shift get in the bottle? It was already there. Everything you need to become that individual is already within you. And so the genesis of the book was that about 3 years ago, I was in a place that I think a lot of us can relate to. I mean, I'd had some very significant successes in my life. I had a few epic and well-publicized failures, and I was 35 pounds overweight. I had no acting work on the horizon, and I realized I needed to do something very different very quickly. And so I made the decision that rather than wait for the ship to come in, I was going to build the damn ship. So I started doing some things very differently, and I started having some great results very quickly. And in the course of that year, I co-authored Success Factor X, which became an Amazon new release bestseller and was named one of the 20 most inspirational books of the last 2 decades by Book Authority. We got Studio City on the air, got nominated for 8 Emmys, and I lost the 35 pounds. And I don't say that to people as a way of impressing them. I say that as a way of impressing upon them what is possible by making some changes and getting specific with a few things. It's not really that difficult. One of the things that I talk about is the necessity to define your success. And by your success, everybody has some common denominators about what we think success is. We want to have a loving relationship. We want to have connected friendships. We want to be involved in a job that we love. But everybody also has some specific things to who they are that are their success. So the first thing I do is I say, let me tell you what success is not. Success is not the obnoxious parade of toys that celebrities post on their Instagram. and I also say, look, you know, as somebody that's worked in Hollywood for 30 years, I can tell you that about 90% of that stuff is crap. Okay, that it is stuff that is, you know, not a realistic representation of the lives of those people. I say that it's not, you know, the airbrushed models that we see on the covers of magazines, and success is not what Madison Avenue commercials bombard us with constantly telling us our lives should look like. Because if money and material possessions were the only metric of success, then a spectacular number of the population would feel unsuccessful, right?
Right.
So I say, let me tell you a story about a guy who is an immigrant, doesn't speak English very well, has worked as a janitor for 30 years. Not the first guy that we would naturally assume is very successful. But what if I told you that same guy worked all his life, saved all his money, put his only daughter through medical school? She went on to be a brilliant research scientist and saved tens of thousands of lives. I would say that he was an extremely successful person. So the idea is that unless you get very specific with what your success looks like, it's like getting in a car, even if it's a Ferrari, and driving really fast and not knowing where you're going. So that's one big thing. Another is clarifying your why. You know, what is the thing that gets you out of the bed 5 a.m, full of energy and passion to go do what you want to do? What's the thing that, you know, when you've had your ass kicked, picks you up off the ground and says, you know, get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. And for me and Steve, I imagine, I think Steve and I have some very similar whys. For me, one of my most powerful whys is I just look at my wedding ring. I look at my commitment to my wife, and I never want to see that look of, you know, buyer's remorse on her face. I never want to see
That's a whole nother book, dude.
That's a whole other book. And my other why, and then I'll shut up because I know I've talked for 5 minutes. My other why too is, you know, I thought I got into acting early on because I wanted to express myself. And I think that's why a lot of people get into acting. But as I've gotten older, I've realized really I got into acting because I want to inspire people. And then I realized that acting is kind of only one way that I can do that I can do it through my motivational speaking and my coaching and my writing. And so that's my other why too. And I always sort of close out this spiel where I say, look, you know, I'm doing a lot of podcasts and promotions because when you have a book, that's what you do. And yes, of course I want to sell books, but it's not really about that for me. I honestly believe in my heart that the material in this book is so valuable and has the power to be transformative that I want to get the book into as many people's hands as possible.
Yeah. There's a lot to kind of unpack there, but I think what's interesting, Sean, is, you know, cause listen, there's a ton of books out there. There's a ton of guys out there. We know them, we've read them, we've been to the seminars, we've done it, you know, we live it to some degree.
Yep.
But I like the baseline of having to be honest with yourself and really look at what success means to the individual, because I think people are chasing happiness, which is fleeting, right? Contentment,
brilliant. Yep.
Contentment is something that you could have all the time. Happiness, you're going to have spurts of happiness, right?
It's a moving target. Yeah.
Totally a moving target. And people think, oh, I'm going to chase happiness. And happiness sometimes is correlated with money, which we know money doesn't bring happiness, because we see billionaires who are completely freaking miserable. And you've seen a lot of people with money who are miserable. But so I like the foundation of defining your own personal success, because like you said, success for each individual is completely different.
I think it's also understanding the difference between feeling happy, yourself feel good. And making yourself feel good generally comes in the form of, a lot of times it comes in the forms of vices, you know, it comes in the forms of, you know, drugs and alcohol and, you know, gratuitous sex and things like this. Because I talk about it in the book, I say you're trying to fill the hole, and I spell WHOLE because you're trying to make yourself feel whole, and it's impossible to do that.
Well, it's like chasing it's like chasing the dopamine versus
totally.
not salt, but like actually dealing with what is, right?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, people need to realize that you can be a happy person and be in emotional discomfort sometimes. You know, you can be a happy person and have a great life. But, you know, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people labor under, especially in our country, is somewhere along the line, and especially younger generations, they adopted the idea that you're supposed to always feel good, be happy, and life is kind of supposed to be like you're starring in your own MTV video. And that's not true. I mean, Buddha says it. He says life is suffering. And when you're fortunate enough to have moments of happiness and well-being and bliss, that's a gift. But life is often difficult. Right. And it's those moments of difficulty that that's where the steel is tempered in the fire. And I think that as a culture, we've gotten a little soft. You look at like the Greatest Generation, that 18-year-old kids storming the beach in Normandy. They came back, started a business, started a family. They were cut from a different piece of cloth. And I think we need to really start getting in touch with the fact that we need to toughen up a little bit. And I think a big part of that is, we don't need to be given trophies for ninth place. We don't need to be, I think our society's become so concerned about subjecting anyone, especially kids, to shame that they don't recognize that there's two types of shame. And again, I talk about this in the book. There's toxic shame, which is humiliating, and nobody should have to undergo that. But then there's the type of shame that is more of a cognitive dissonance. In other words, when you know what you should be doing or how hard you should be working and you're not doing it, it produces a sense of shame within yourself. And that shame can be positive because it can be a motivating factor. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right, Steve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because coaching kids sports, right? I see it. Yeah. I used to see it all the time where, hey, you guys lost, right? And you're sad and you're upset. What can we do to fix that? Well, we're going to work harder. We're going to drill harder. We're going to do this. We're going to show up earlier. So like you said, that's you feel shame for losing, but the positive outcome is I'm going to work harder and I'm going to fix what needs to be fixed. And I'm going to have discipline and motivation as opposed to sit back and go, oh, it's okay. Don't worry. So,
because it's not when you're dealing with shame based on like me, I need to feel shame about like who I am versus my effort or my performance.
Right.
That's
totally
the difference, right? It's not about identity. It's about like what I can do.
Yeah.
Or do better, what I can do better.
And how I can do it better. Right. Correct.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that I talk about in the book is the power of story. And the stories that we attach to things have incredible motivating power over us. And, if we were being really honest, human beings at best probably have about a 30% accuracy rate when recounting an event in their life, right? I mean, when we talk about things that have happened to us, and as time goes on, it's through the prism of our life experience, through external, so blah, blah, blah. So if we agree that if you took an event that happened to you and you're watching two side-by-side movies, one is 100% what actually happened, unbiased and unadulterated, and the other is your perception of it, there's going to be a significant disparity, right? So what it means is we're creating a story in our head. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of times people create negative stories in their head that they wear like an anvil around their neck that precludes them from getting a success. So if we agree that the stories that we have are basically largely created anyway, why not create positive ones that motivate? And so exactly like what you said, when the kids don't win a game, you need to link up a positive story, a positive attachment to that failure. Sure. Put failure in air quotes, because the only failure is if you're not learning from it, and if you're attaching a debilitating story to it.
There's definitely power in the positive thinking, which we know, and visualization, which we know. So I like that for sure.
Talking about this stuff it comes to us so naturally, and it's so fun to talk to you about it, Sean, because
I made every mistake in the book. I mean, it's like, and I say in the book, before you think that I'm sitting in some hut, on the top of a mountain in Kathmandu contemplating my navel, know that this stuff has come to me because I've gone to the school of hard knocks. I've made so many mistakes. And the other thing I say in this is the book is got a very autobiographical quality because I use a lot of things that have happened in my life as a way of tying in these stories. But I say that, you know, there's not a whole lot that you're going to be exposed to in the book that you probably haven't heard. But the issue is who the messenger is. You know, you can have a father giving you great advice, but if you've got a really strained, crappy relationship with your dad, it makes it really hard to take that advice and integrate it into your life because of where it's emanating from. So what I say is I hope that, you know, some of what you've probably heard all of your life, that me as your humble messenger, it'll now finally, you know, resonate with you.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about story and then you mention, you know, the stories that you have, your life stories. And it is interesting what we allow ourselves to be defined by, either by other people or by ourselves, like the stories that we're telling ourselves. And, you know, and the kind of lives that we have when, you know, our lives do shift a lot of the time, you know, we're going from different jobs to, you know, different circumstances. Like we end up having a lot of different stories, and regardless of what your life is, you can have your life defined by different eras or different stories. But it is that you can choose, you know, the story that you allow yourself to identify with. Like, this is the story that defines who I am, whether it's a failure, whether it's a success. Like being present, like it's amazing what your past, what holding on to that whatever story you're talking about is generally in the past, right? Like, and and that's the thing, if you don't see any hope for the future, it's so easy to dwell on what could have been or what should have been or what I wasn't or what I was. And gosh, so like shaking that off in whatever way it means, and if it's coming from you, all the better, right? Like, but like it is being able to, you know, being able to be present and looking forward instead of like that.
A great strategy for being present. One of the things I talk about, because I know that as I do these interviews, people often want to hear, okay, well, what are some of the strategies?
Yeah. And what do I do first?
Yeah. One of the strategies is we've all heard the saying carpe diem, seize the day. So I've co-opted carpe mane, which is seize the morning. And if you can get up 90 minutes earlier than you usually do, and you can start your day in gratitude. And I don't know, look, if you pray, then do that. And if not, think of 5 things that you're grateful for, and drawing your first breath that day can be the first of them. You know, look over at my wife, thankful for her, the roof over my head. If you're starting your day in gratitude, then you're living in the present and you're not dwelling in the past.
That's
the next thing that I do is I usually meditate for about 5 minutes, because what it does is it just shuts out the monkey chatter, you know, that consistent
negative self-talk.
And then I do some visualization, you know, whatever meetings I have that day, whatever phone call, whatever to do. I think about a couple things. I think about what I would like them to look like. Now, understand that it's like Mike Tyson says, I mean, everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth, but you can start by having an idea of how you want it to go. And for me, one of the most empowering things to do is to always try and have a win-win scenario. By that, I mean, there's very few times in life that an interaction has to be a zero-sum game where you have to lose for me to win. So I try and be very cognizant of, okay, how can I bring value to this other person during the interaction and still get what I want and need? And most of the time you can do that. The next thing that I do is I do a little reading. And, you know, if you can read, you know, 20 pages of a book every single day over the course of a year, the amount of information that you will have assimilated into your life is staggering. And a lot of people say, well, I have trouble concentrating reading. Okay. You know, you live in Los Angeles, and we all know that we're famous for our traffic. And Tony Robbins says this, one of the smartest things you can do is turn your car into a mobile library. You know, listen to books on Audible. So, you know, you literally, if you live in Los Angeles, you're going to be in your car for a minimum of, I would say, 100 hours a year, and that's really conservative. You're going to tell me you couldn't learn basic Spanish in 100 hours? Sure, you could. You know, think about that. I mean, what an amazing thing that, you know, in a year you suddenly can speak another language. So that's some of the strategy that that I think really works. I mean, I think physical activity is really important too, Steve. And, you're a huge proponent of that. And I'm not one of those guys that likes to wake up and work out in the morning. I got other stuff I like to do. I'm better when I do it in the afternoon, but it's real important. Another thing is I have a lot of young kids. Usually they're just sort of making their way into the job market for the first time or something like that, or even younger ones. And they say, can you give me a couple pieces of good advice that are going to give me a shot at being successful? And I said, look, I'm going to tell you a couple things. And if you do these few things, even if you're not the most talented guy or girl in the room, you've got about a 95% chance of being successful as a human being. Okay. The first, we all learned in kindergarten. It's so simple. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Very simple. Treat people with respect and civility. Our society has unfortunately become so fractured and vitriolic that, it's no longer possible just to disagree with somebody's point of view. You have to eviscerate them as a human being, which that crap's got to stop. The next one is to act with integrity. Do what you say what you mean, be dependable. Okay. The third one is to treat people with empathy. And by that, I mean, everybody is fighting a private war. You look at somebody in the line at the grocery store waiting for a bus, you never know what private battle that person's waging. You don't know if that woman's husband, who's the love of her life, is dying from cancer. You don't know if some guy is struggling with drug addiction or alcoholism or whatever it is. So a little empathy helps. And the last thing, and Steve, you say that I've been a mentor to you in some ways, as you have to me, and you epitomize this. The last thing is grind, work. You know what I mean? Keep working, keep doing it. And, sometimes in the course of several days, you're going to feel like you're not getting anywhere. But after a month, you look back, and if you're waking up early every morning and you're just knocking things off the to-do list, like, early Mike Tyson, you're going to look back in a month and go, wow, I got a lot of stuff done. And it's like compound interest. You don't always notice it in your bank account day to day, but over the course of a year, it becomes significant. If you can do those four things, you got a really good shot at having a great life.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And then we can close with this. The thing, Sean, you said in the beginning is, and we know this, life is not easy, right? And we talk about this stuff all the time. So that's why it's great to have you on here, because, we try to live by these edicts, every day. I try to. And the empathy part and the compassion part is so important, because I know there's people who feel like they can't get out of the rut they're in, and just a reassuring message. Look, I know your story. Okay. I know you've been through hell. Like I've been through tough times. I know you've been through super tough times, and it hasn't been easy for you, as much as people may want to perceive that. And that's the perception. I know it's not true.
Right.
So I know there's hope for people out there who are going through these struggles, these obstacles. They've been in a rut for 10 years. Just know that it's not going to be easy to get out of it, but it's doable.
Yeah.
You put that work in, you put the discipline in every day.
And yourself, man, you gotta be willing to invest in yourself to have the life that you want.
100%,
because nobody's going to do it. Nobody's really going to do it for you.
No,
nobody
will.
Yourself. And the fact of the matter is that it is a little bit like a battle, but in you winning the battle, the victory will stick with you. It'll resonate. If somebody, it's fine for people to help you and give you a hand up and all of that, but you've got to be the one who turns your own life around.
Sure. Absolutely. Look, I mean, I know people put their faith in God and Buddha, sure, whatever, right? But you have to put your faith in yourself. Like, this is all you have is you.
Yeah.
No one else is going to help you. If you have that mindset of, hey, I'm on my own, I got to put the faith in myself and do the work, you're going to have success. You will achieve things. There's just no two ways about it.
Right. So, and it's a process. I mean, listen, I talk a lot about this in the book. I say, look, the book is structured as though I'm the sensei and you're my students in the dojo. And I say, look, I'm going to be really honest with you. Sensei doesn't always get it right. I have times when I am not the avatar of patience and tolerance, things like that, and I get frustrated. And I said, it's a constant struggle for me not to go do midnight bombing raids on the refrigerator. And I mean, everybody has their little demons they struggle with, right?
Right.
But it's the struggle, and it's the being aware of the struggle and the trying to overcome it that I think helps us become more fully formed human beings.
Absolutely. So can people pre-order the book?
They absolutely can. They can get it at wayofthecobra.com. And I'm really excited too, because we're going to be launching a really exciting interactive Way of the Cobra website that is going to have all sorts of videos, and we're going to have a special section for Cobra kids.
Awesome.
And it's going to be a whole great big thing. The book will be coming out in an audio version, but please get it. It really is something that I know can be transformative. And one of the taglines of the books is transform yourself and you can transform the world. So wayofthecobra.com.
Awesome, dude.
Man. Congrats on all the stuff you got going. It's awesome. Man. Really, it's always wonderful to.
I love you both. I respect you both. I love that you guys are doing this. And you're both doing your part. Yeah, you entertain people, but you always have really good content in what you do. You always put a lot of positive kernels of wisdom. And that's why I think we really connect. And I just, anything I can ever do to help, all you got to do is let me know. You know that, both of you.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, Sean. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, guys, have a great day. Go on, kill it.
Hey, you too. All right, have a good one, buddy.
Always great to visit with him.
Sean. Yeah, he's listen, man. Look, I've known the guy for a long, long time, and I know, and I said it before when we were talking to him, I know he's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And he's overcome a lot. And, personal demons are hard sometimes to get control of. And this guy did it, and that's why I love that he's sharing all this stuff.
It's so easy to be defined by your failures, right?
Sure, of course.
Or to define yourself by past success and feel bad about not having it now or whatever.
Right.
We've been talking to him obviously you've known him for a long time, but I've gotten to know him better in the last, 3 or 4 years since he was on GH. And then the talks that we've had with him, obviously I've got to know more about him. And, seeing his drive, seeing his, and clear his, and he talked about it, his why is printed across his face. It's so clear. And
absolutely.
His passion for his family, his passion for his work, he's a passionate guy. And it's fun to talk to people like that. His
priorities are straight. And, sometimes it takes a while to figure that out, dude. Listen, we all go through these things and make mistakes and hopefully grow. And I can see the growth in him. And it's great. I love that he's doing this because I know he does want to help people. So,
And, Way of the Cobra, Way of the Cobra, Way of the Cobra.
The Way of the Cobra, I think, .com.
I don't know if there's another but okay. He said it.
Way of the Cobra. Okay.
Way of the Cobra.
Anyway.
Yeah. So congrats to him on all he's got going, and always good to visit with him. Speaking of things getting going, we are gearing up for our May tour. You can find all dates at stonecoldandthejackal.com. Click on tour. We got Baltimore, Raleigh, West Palm Beach, Tampa, Orlando, Birmingham, Huntsville, Nashville. But that's just May, friends. Over May. The summer, we're hitting the Northeast. We're hitting the Midwest and Texas and Arizona later this year as well. So make sure to get on our email list at stonecoldandthejackal.com and check out that tour page.
Yeah. And if you see any shows that are in July and August that they say sold out, one, they could not be on sale yet. That's the first thing. So don't get discouraged. And two, the capacities are definitely probably going to be raised. Right now we're at the bare minimum, and I think we're going to boost a little bit by July and August. So if it says sold out, don't quit. Don't give up.
Don't do it.
Email list or just check back, because we'll be talking about it a lot. So,
well, that's the thing is we'll always let you know. So don't worry.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So thanks for another week, friends.
You guys are awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. We'll be talking to you next week.
All right.